Like you're walking on eggshells in front of your partner. You ever feel like everything you say will be criticized and start an argument, so you'd rather just avoid them rather than be around them? Here is the best way to resolve that. I'm going to give you 5 steps. A true story from a client family I worked with. Maya and Ethan, when we first met, conversations were effortless. They could sit in Ethan's car for hours inside Maya's apartment and just talk about anything. Childhood memories, random dreams, weird fears, favorite memories. Nothing felt dangerous. Nothing felt like it would start a fight. Back then, Maya loved how passionate Ethan was. When he spoke about things he believed in, his voice would sharpen with conviction. His eyes would lock in. At first, it felt like a strength, leadership, confidence, but somewhere along the way, that same intensity started to feel different. Sharp instead of passionate, critical instead of confident. And Maya couldn't pinpoint when the shift happened. All she knew was that one day she noticed something strange about herself. Before speaking, she started rehearsing. Simple things, tiny things, even harmless things, like deciding where to eat. One evening they were sitting on the couch, scrolling through their phones. Ethan looked up. "What do you want for dinner?" Maya paused. Her brain began running scenarios. If she said sushi, Ethan might say that's expensive. If she said pizza, he might say they had pizza recently. If she said she didn't know, he might say she never made any decisions. 3 seconds passed, then 5, then Ethan sighed. "You never know what you want." And just like that, the knot formed in her chest again. "I just don't want to pick something you wouldn't like," she said softly. Ethan leaned back. "Well, how would you know if I like it if you don't say anything?" The conversation ended there. But Maya didn't feel relief. She felt a familiar sensation creeping in, like stepping across fragile ground. Careful not to crack anything, careful not to start something, like walking on eggshells. At first, Maya told herself she was overthinking. Everyone has arguments, everyone disagrees, every couple has disagreements. But the arguments weren't the real problem. The real problem was the unpredictability. Some days Ethan would laugh things off. Other days, the same comment would ignite something. She never knew which version of Ethan she would get. One night, they were driving home from a party. Music played quietly in the background. Maya casually mentioned something. "I was thinking maybe we could visit my sister next weekend." Ethan's jaw tightened slightly. "You already made plans?" "I didn't make plans," Maya said quickly. "I just thought maybe we could." "Why do you always volunteer our time without asking me first?" "I didn't volunteer it," she mentioned. "You basically said we were going." "I didn't say that, but that's what you meant." Maya stared out the window. Her heart started beating faster. She replayed the sentence she said. Did it sound like a decision? Did it sound like demanding? Maybe she should have said it differently. Maybe she should have waited. Maybe she should have... "You're doing it again," Ethan said. "Doing what?" "Shutting down." "I'm not shutting down. You literally stopped talking." Maya's throat tightened, because if she talked, it might make things worse. If she stayed quiet, it also made things worse. There was no safe move, no correct answer, just eggshells. Weeks turned into months. And slowly Maya stopped sharing opinions. She stopped suggesting things. Stopped disagreeing, stopped offering ideas. When Ethan said something, she nodded. When he picked something, she agreed. If he asked what she thought, she'd say, "Whatever you want." Ethan noticed eventually. One evening he said, half joking, "Why do I feel like I'm dating a yes person lately?" Maya forced a laugh, but inside she thought, because saying no feels dangerous. But she didn't say that. Instead, she just said, "I trust your judgment." Ethan smiled proudly. "Good." And that should have made things easier, but somehow it didn't. Because even when Maya stayed quiet, arguments still happened. One night Ethan came home frustrated from work. He dropped his keys on the table. "Why is the kitchen still messy?" Maya looked up from the couch. "I was going to clean it after dinner." "After dinner? It's been like that all day." "I had meetings today." "So did I." Silence hung between them. Then Maya said cautiously, "I didn't think it was a big deal." That was the wrong sentence. Ethan's eyebrows shot up. "So now I'm overreacting." "No, that's not what I meant." "That's exactly what you meant." "No, you're saying my frustration isn't valid." Maya felt it again. There was the tightening. There was the panic, like watching a storm form out of nothing. And suddenly she was apologizing again. "I'm sorry." Even though she didn't know what she was doing wrong. Even though she didn't know what word triggered him. Months passed like that. Tiny moments turning into big arguments. Simple conversations turning into misunderstandings. And Maya slowly stopped feeling like herself. One night she sat in her car, outside the apartment, long after getting home from work. She didn't want to go inside yet, because walking through the door meant entering the unknown. Would Ethan be relaxed? Would he be annoyed? Quiet? Frustrated? Every night felt like stepping onto emotional ice. And she never knew when it would crack. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Nothing dramatic at first. Just a normal evening. Maya was cooking pasta. Ethan sat at the counter scrolling on his phone. She stirred the sauce and said casually, "I was thinking maybe we should start saving more this year." Ethan looked up. "What do you mean?" "I just mean maybe we could set aside some money each month." His expression shifted slightly. "So are you saying I spend too much?" "No, you literally just implied that." "I didn't imply that." "Then what are you saying?" Maya felt the ground cracking again. "I'm just saying saving might be good. So now I'm irresponsible with money." "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." The tension exploded. Voices raised, defensiveness rising. Finally, Maya blurted out something she had never said before. "I feel like I'm always walking on eggshells around you." The room went silent. Ethan blinked. "What?" Maya's heart pounded. She had crossed a line she normally avoided, but the words kept coming. "I feel like I can't say anything without it turning into an argument." "That's ridiculous." "It's not ridiculous. You're exaggerating." "No, I'm not. You're the one who shuts down every time we talk. But I'm afraid of triggering you." Ethan stood up. "I'm not some kind of monster you have to tiptoe around." "I know you're not trying to be," Maya said, her voice shaking. "But that's how it feels." The words hung in the air, heavy, uncomfortable. For the first time, Ethan didn't immediately respond, because part of him knew something he didn't want to admit. Maybe there was something to that. Maybe there was a reason she was different. In the next few days, it was pretty tense, but something had changed. The conversation Maya started couldn't be ignored anymore. 3 nights later, they sat at the kitchen table again. No phones, no distractions, just silence. Ethan finally spoke. "I've been thinking about what you said." Maya braced herself. "I don't want to feel like that." "I don't want you to feel like that," he said. She nodded. "But I also feel like every time I bring something up, you shut down." "I shut down because I'm scared it would turn into a fight." "I'm not trying to fight." "I know." "Then why does it feel like that?" Maya hesitated. Then she said something honest. "Because sometimes you react before you listen." Ethan leaned back, processing. "And sometimes," Maya continued, "I react before understanding you too." They both sat with that truth. Uncomfortable, but real. For the first time, they weren't arguing. They were actually explaining and examining the problem. "When I met with them, fixing things didn't happen overnight. But they knew they needed to make changes, small ones at first. The first thing they practiced was something simple: judging their partner's receptivity. Before jumping into a serious conversation, they just started checking in first. One evening, Maya said, "Hey, is this a good time to talk about something? Or are you tired?" Ethan paused. "Honestly, I'm a little drained right now. Can we talk after dinner?" For the first time, Maya didn't interpret that as rejection. It was just timing, not dismissal. Another shift happened with how they responded to ideas. Instead of immediately correcting or criticizing, they tried to build each other up first. One day, Ethan said, "I was thinking maybe we could move next year." Old Ethan might have immediately heard criticism if Maya disagreed. But Maya said something different. "That's actually a really interesting idea. I like that you're thinking about our future." Ethan relaxed instantly. Then she nodded. "Maybe we could explore a few options before deciding." The conversation stayed calm, constructive, no eggshells. They also started prioritizing quality time every day. Not distracted time, not TV time, not phone time, actual time. Even just 20 minutes after dinner. Just talking, just walking, just checking in. Sometimes the simple act of connecting daily prevented tensions from building silently. Another discovery changed things in a surprising way. They learned each other's love languages. Ethan realized Maya felt love through words of affirmation, encouragement, gentleness. Maya also realized Ethan appreciated words of affirmation and started trying not to correct him until he was receptive first. She would say things like, "I really appreciate how hard you work." Instead of defensiveness, Ethan would say, "I value your perspective." The emotional temperature in the relationship did start to change. They started to practice something that changed conversations entirely. Another thing they practiced was me versus you. If Maya was sharing something about her day, Ethan practiced listening and active listening without immediately telling his own story. Just listening, just understanding. And if Ethan was venting about work, Maya resisted the urge to shift it back to her experiences. The result? Both people started feeling heard, not corrected, not overshadowed, just heard. Months later, Maya noticed something strange again. She noticed things were changing. Ethan noticed things were changing too. But this time, it was a good change. One evening, Ethan asked, "What do you want to do for dinner?" Maya didn't rehearse, she didn't panic, she didn't scan for landmines, she didn't try to question if it might set him off. She just smiled and said, "Honestly, sushi sounds good." Ethan grinned. "Perfect, I was thinking the same thing." No tension, no eggshells. Just a conversation. And for the first time in a long time, Maya felt the floor beneath her relationship was starting to be solid again. If you need to figure out how you can fix your relationship, not feel like you're walking on eggshells, click the link below there's a handout on 5 different things you can do for your relationship. I promise it'll start to change it.